Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of Let's Talk. Today I'm going to review Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now Kingdom Come Deliverance is an action role-playing video game developed by Warhorse Studios and published by Deep Silver for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It is set in the medieval kingdom of Bohemia, an imperial state of the Holy Roman Empire, with a focus on historically accurate and realistic content. It was released worldwide on 13th of February 2018. Now when it comes to Kingdom Come Deliverance, there is a lot to talk about. Throughout this review there may be minor spoilers, so this is your warning. Now this game is set in 1403 in the Kingdom of Bohemia, which is part of the lands of the Holy Roman Emperor, which eventually becomes what we know as the Czech Republic today. You play as a simple son of a blacksmith named Henry in the town of Skalitz. You learn first thing in this game that there is a war between two sons of the late Holy Roman Emperor, Sigismund and Wenceslas, for who is going to be king. There is a lot more to it than that as to why this war is happening, but I'm just trying to keep things simple here. So things start off slow. You start off running errands for your father around Skalitz so that he can make a new sword for the Lord of Skalitz, so Radzik Kobala. Suddenly, Skalitz is attacked by Sigismund and his men and you need to run. So of course, you run. You grab a horse and you gallop faster than you've ever galloped before. You eventually come to Talmberg to warn them of the impending attack, and things keep going from there. You escape the castle so you can make your way back to Skalitz to bury your parents. Meet some questionable people, have your father's sword stolen from you, and only at this point, after about 2, 3, maybe even more hours of gameplay, does the opening title screen and credits actually appear. As I said, this is a slow game in terms of getting going. From here, your mission is to help Sir Radzik and Sir Hanush deal with the issues of the land and find your father's sword. Now there is a lot to this game story. The main missions affect how the rest of the side missions can go, and things get pretty awesome and yet pretty hectic at the same time. The gameplay to this at its core is that of a first-person action RPG. You level up your skills separately the more you do them, which in turn allows you to get skill points for different perks to help you along the way. The creators of this game boast historical accuracy to the point where they actually got a team of historians in to help with the game. Now as far as I'm concerned, I think that's pretty awesome. This does in fact show when it comes to things like fighting and how your armor works within the game. The fighting is slow paced, you need to attack and react to whatever is going on with the enemy. If you go in swords raised high and slashing away, you will very quickly get taken down. It's the same with how many enemies you try and fight at once. It's very easy to get overwhelmed and taken down with great haste when taking on too many people. Although this can be annoying at times when there isn't much you can do about the amounts of enemies early game, it's in fact a very refreshing take on combat in that you cannot just hack and slash your way through scores and scores of enemies. When it comes to your armor and weapons, things are broken down into slash, stab and blunt damage, with certain swords doing better at either slash or stab, and your maces and warhammers and things doing better at the blunt damage. The historical input definitely shows on this in the fact that your metal armor doesn't protect too well from blunt damage, and that you need to equip padded undergarments to help with blunt protection. It's little things like this that show the creators of the game were thinking about it a lot and wanted it as accurate as possible. There are several different types of weapons. You have swords, which vary from long swords to short swords to falchion type weapons, all with their own perks and problems. You also have your blunt weapons, which consist of warhammer, maces and flails. The third type of weapon is axes, which tend to do either blunt or slash damage, but stay away from the stab damage. I personally used a longsword throughout the whole game. I felt more comfortable having the reach and 2 out of the 3 types of damage when fighting. You also get your lovely bow and arrow. Now this thing, to begin with, is a massive pain. You have no crosshair, and until you get your bow skill to level 5, you will not be able to aim in a straight line. So now let's take a very brief look at all the other things you can do. I'm going to go over these fairly quickly, otherwise we could be here forever, and this review would take hours. You can hunt, which is pretty simple. Bow and arrow, animals, you get the gist of that one. There's stealth elements to the game in which you can pickpocket, stealth kill and knock people out. You have the maintenance skill. This one is where you can repair all your armor and weapons using kits and grindstones. Maintenance is helpful as it allows you to repair your equipment yourself and stops you paying money. In the end though, I actually found that I had so much money that I didn't mind paying a few hundred groschen, the currency by the way, to get everything fixed nice and quick. You also have the infamous lockpicking skill. Now this one was a massive pain to begin with, and if you're trying to play with a controller, well, good luck with this one. The developers have stated that they understand there is an issue with this at the moment and are looking to fix it, but as it stands, it's a bit of a nightmare. You have to keep your eye on your energy and nourishment levels and eat and sleep accordingly. And when it comes to eating, you also have to make sure your food hasn't spoiled, otherwise it can give you food poisoning. There's horse riding, there's alchemy, there's speech, there's reading, there's skills for every kind of weapon, there's skills for warfare itself. The list goes on and on and on, and all of these skills get leveled up separately as you do them. So if you're going for that top level achievement, you're gonna be here a long, long time. If you want to know more about the actual history of the world you're in, then there is a lovely little codex which fills up with places and people and very detailed history to read through. Now, the final part of the gameplay that I need to mention is the glitches and bugs. This game is riddled with them to a point that it has severely put people off the game. There are funny glitches, such as people spinning on the spot at excessive speeds, trying to do alchemy and flying into the sky, your horse getting stuck and floating in the air when trying to jump over something. These are not so much of a problem as they hold that sort of entertainment value to them. It's when you come across the bugs that hinder your physical progression of the game that it becomes an issue. There's this one bug that a lot of people have come across, including myself, that is near game breaking. If you finish a particular mission, your save file will no longer load. It gets stuck about quarter way into the load. I managed to find a way around this somehow by not handing in the mission for a very long time and then doing a manual save before handing it in later on. This has not worked for everyone though, and there are some people losing a lot of hours they have put into this game by going back to previous saves. I also came across this irritating glitch, like right at the end of the game, where I have to follow this man on a horse. He kept doing this. I had to save manually as soon as this point started and then reload the same save file about 7 or 8 times just so that he would follow the path he was supposed to. This then happened again later where you have to follow him again, at which point I had to keep riding into him to try and keep him on the path. It's these kinds of glitches that really let the game down, and unfortunately it's a massive problem. As I said, there is a lot more to the gameplay than what I've mentioned, but if I went through it all, I would be here for a long time. So I decided to try and just keep it to the main basics and get those explained to you. Now when it comes to the music and graphics, they're good. The music makes you feel like you're in the time which the game was set, and it was composed by, and I'm really sorry if I butcher these names, Jan Walter and Adam Sporker, and its parts were recorded with a symphonic orchestra in Rudolfinum. The graphics are decent, they're nothing special, and there are points where things are not loading as quick as they should do. So you see stuff loading very slowly as you walk around, and you find people with no heads and buildings appearing out of nowhere all of a sudden. Once again, I feel this is a bit of a letdown as this game is all about the immersion, and when you have things like this happen, it takes that away. Yeah, I get it's a game and it's there for fun, and I had a lot of fun, but these kind of games, especially ones that boast historical accuracy, are definitely trying to get you immersed in their world, and unfortunately this is lost when it comes to the graphics a little bit. They're not terrible graphics. There are some points where it looks beautiful, but I would say overall they're not the greatest graphics. They're just, you know, they're good. They're nothing special. Overall, I like most things about this game. I like the combat, I like the world it's set, I like the characters, and I like the story that's happening. The game is immersive for the most part, except for the obvious points I mentioned earlier. The combat is great, it's refreshing and difficult to get a hang of, which I imagine real medieval combat was like. You know, in the sense that it was difficult to get a hang of. Obviously, I have no idea what it was actually like. That would make me about 600 to 700 years old if I knew what combat was like back then. One thing I especially liked was how missions were dealt with. With certain missions and side missions, if you go off and do your own thing for ages, then you will fail the mission. Things like a group of sick people dying, or people just not wanting to wait around for you to appear. This I enjoyed, as it made the world feel more alive, like a real world where people had their own things that they need to do. There were also things I disliked though. The obvious ones are the big time bugs and glitches, of course, but there were also little things that annoyed me, such as the wait timer. If you wait or sleep, a wheel would spin. And I do not have an issue with this. The issue came from the fact that for the final hour of your waiting, the wheel would slow down to an irritably slow pace. And if you get arrested for something and got put in jail for, say, 10 days, this actually happened to me, by the way, then you have to sit and watch this wheel make 10 full rotations. Like, what the actual hell? Either speed this thing up, Warhorse, or allow me to skip it, because this is just wasting my time in which I could be enjoying your game rather than getting bored of a wheel spin around. My one other gripe, and this is more a personal one I think, is a particular mission. There is a point in which you must infiltrate a monastery and pretend to be a monk so you can catch a murderer. Now, that sounds awesome on paper, but you must literally do the jobs you are assigned day after day. You can tell people that you're looking for someone, and to be honest, that in fact triggers the rest of the mission. But when you're looking for someone, you automatically think in your head that it's a bad idea to tell people, in case you tell the person that you're looking for that you're looking for them, and then they run away. So essentially the game turned into Monk Simulator 2018. Get up, go to mass, get some food, go do your alchemy, go to the library, go back to mass, go get some food, go to bed, repeat, repeat, repeat. My final thoughts on this game are as it needed more time. It was released too early and therefore put a lot of people off due to the bugs and glitches. Yes, there are a lot of people playing this game, I understand that, but there should be a lot more. I really enjoyed this game as a whole, but I definitely feel it was not optimized fully, and unfortunately that let it down. I racked over just over 65 hours on this game. Did a lot of side missions and finished the main story, but there is still a lot for me to do though, as this is a massive game. As a whole, this game has the makings to be classed as a great game, like really great. But due to the problems it has, I feel it will only ever be marked as a good game, which is a massive shame. The type of game that it is, it's not for everybody and will only ever be enjoyed by certain types of people, but even those types of people who love this kind of game will get bored and eventually put off by the issues that come with it. Yes, the devs will drop patches and fixes, but in all honesty, they should have just spent a bit more time on it before releasing it. Now, some people will love this game, as I said before. There is a lot to it. It is a very dialogue based and combat is very in-depth kind of game. The combat almost feels clunky to a degree, but it's these kinds of things that make it feel more realistic. But overall, it just needed more time in development before being released. Well, that's all the time I've got for today, guys. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope I was able to shed some light on this game for those of you who were sitting on the fence about buying it. If you enjoyed today's video and want to see more, then please hit that subscribe button, drop a like and leave a comment. Did you enjoy this game? And if so, I want to know why. Equally to those who didn't enjoy this game, I really want to hear your thoughts. I'll catch you on the next episode. Take it easy, everybody.